really important for me is that people with disabilities have a voice.
We have a very good voice. I'm very, very proud of my community. We're all standing up. We want equal rights. We're ready to show that. We're ready to show that with our actions because we're a loud community and we're just going to get louder.
It's important to vote because your vote is your voice. And it's important to know that people who are elected need to hear your voice because they make decisions about human beings that actually begin in the womb and go all throughout life to the tomb, actually. And many of the decisions are life or death. And if they haven't either heard your voice or received your voice through your vote, there's no way that they can represent you. So it's really important that you vote because that's your power.
And there is power in groups. There is power in organizing. And we wouldn't be where we are today if people most affected by the issues did something about it.
So how powerful is the disability vote? According to the Respectability Report, a nonpartisan disability rights organization, the disability community accounts for 59% of the vote in the battleground states for the 2020 election. It includes people with a disability or a family member or a close friend of a person with a disability. These voters feel like their disability issues have been ignored. Most people don't see the connection between their personal life and how government policy is making our lives better or worse.
Voting is about creating outcomes that will help make our lives much better. Before the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, public buildings did not have wheelchair access. So if you were in a wheelchair, you were out of luck. After the ADA became a law in 1990, all new public buildings had to provide wheelchair access. People have to obey this law and our lives are better. The political process is how problems get solved.
So I decided to make a film about disability issues in the 2020 election. Hopefully, this will get people to asking the right questions. We need to focus on the conversation around our needs.
The issues impacting persons with disabilities are the issues that impact all of us. So folks are interested, care about finding a meaningful job to pay the bills, to raise a family. When you are someone with a disability, intellectual developmental disability, those issues seem to be magnified.
Since our issues are usually a more extreme version of the same problems the general population faces, it is not hard for people to relate to them. We just have to explain it to other people in a way that they understand the gravity of the issue for us.
Children still being educated in their neighborhood schools, with their peers. The amount that a parent has to be able to navigate for their son or daughter with a disability, it's a full-time job. And I've seen some parents become so worn down and beaten down, it's heart-wrenching. How can we make it more possible for people with a child with a disability to be able to stand up and advocate without having to be so frustrated and so beaten down?
Since the 1970s, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the IDEA, has guaranteed children with disabilities the same opportunity for education as everyone else. Today, the IDEA protects 7 million children. This law commits the federal government to pay for 40% of the cost of the programs. This year, they only pay 15%, a $7 billion shortfall. So what happens? School districts had to cancel other programs. Special needs kids are pulled out of the classroom. Early intervention programs are eliminated. Both the House and the Senate have a pending IDEA full funding act that solves this problem. So ask your candidates. Do you promise to vote for the IDEA full funding act if elected? Only 65% of students with disabilities complete high school. What will you do to help them get a fair and equal education? Where do you stand on providing early intervention therapies for children with disabilities? Fully integrating children with disabilities into mainstream classes benefits all kids. Vote for the candidates that support IDEA full funding act. Make Washington keep its promises.
Right now, people with disabilities that are on Social Security that can't get ahead, they're living in poverty.
Unfortunately, to receive many home and community-based services that allow people to fully integrate into the community, it's a culture of poverty. They have to have assets of $2,000 or less, which really doesn't lead to a quality of life that many of us enjoy.
Many people with disabilities rely on the Social Security system to help them live healthy, independent lives.
Turn on all lights.
This income and related services help us become productive citizens. The problem is that Social Security income limits discourage us from working full-time. If people on SSI or SSDI make more than $1,260 per month, the benefits disappear. In Colorado, minimum wage is $12 per hour, so you can only work 2.5 days per week if you want to keep your benefits. Furthermore, the Social Security system does not allow you to own more than $2,000 in assets, which is not much money to save for a rainy day. So ask your candidates. Do you support the expansion of the ABLE Act to include people who become disabled after the age of 26? Would you support increasing the SSI thresholds to a level of minimum wage at a full-time job? What is your stand on increased funding for DVR so they can provide greater support to people with disabilities who want to work? We shouldn't have to be poor to get the essential services we need. Reform Social Security today.
But employment issues have lagged behind with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So we still have a lot of work to do with employment.
People with intellectual and developmental disabilities have about an 80% rate of unemployment, which is astounding, especially considering the fact that some studies show that even as much as 70% of people want to work, they just can't find work that's suitable for them.
Over the past 50 years, we have made a lot of progress. We moved out of institutions and into the community. As children, we study side by side with other kids. We have become part of our communities, except when it comes to getting decent jobs. People with disabilities are half as likely to be employed than people without disabilities. Only 16% of people with IDD, like autism or Down syndrome, are employed full-time. However, a new program, Employment First, hopes to change this situation. Employment First means that people with disabilities should be encouraged and supported to find real jobs and be paid real wages. There is an Employment First effort in almost every state. So ask your candidates. Do you support the Employment First initiative, and would you vote to fully fund it? What are your ideas about how to solve the 80% unemployment rate for people with IDD? Will you vote to fund a supported employment initiative? Help us join the workforce. Support employment first.
Had I not interacted, met people who are living those experiences, not have fully understood the challenges that people face finding meaningful work in the community and not getting paid sub-minimum wage, getting paid at least minimum wage, for their work and their services.
A 1938 federal law allows employers to pay people with disabilities less than a minimum wage. In some states, it is legal to pay workers with disabilities only 10 cents per hour. Because of the subminimum wage law, over 300,000 people with disabilities are paid an average of $2.15 per hour, which is why workers with disabilities are twice as likely to be poor as workers without disabilities. In 2016, the Department of Labor recommended ending the subminimum wage. In July 2019, the House of Representatives passed the Raise the Wage Act, phasing out subminimum wage. It now sits in the Senate, waiting for a vote. So ask your candidates. Did you vote for the Raise the Wage Act? Or will you fight to end the subminimum wage for people with disabilities? What is your position on the transformation to the Competitive Employment Act? Do you think it's fair to pay people with disabilities less than other workers? Why? Outdated laws enable exploitation and the subminimum wage.
For me, I feel like our foundation of who we are as humans is our wellness and our quality of life. We don't participate in if we're not physically healthy. And the foundation to who we are as just humans in general, not as just our disability being the lens in which somebody works on us, but that we're being looked at as a human as well as the things that come with us having a disability.
Maybe your life changed in an instant from an accident, or you developed a degenerative disease, or maybe you were born with a congenital condition, so you ended up in a wheelchair. The odds are pretty good that you live with chronic pain. Traditional medicine treats pain with powerful painkillers, have lots of bad side effects like lethargy, depression, and mental fog. Alternative treatments like acupuncture, massage, and yoga can improve our quality of life, reduce our pain, and enable us to participate more fully in society. Research has shown that when alternative therapies are covered by Medicaid, drug use and doctor visits are reduced by 50%, lowering overall medical costs. So ask your candidates. Do you support Medicaid waivers for alternative therapies for people with disabilities? Considering the opioid epidemic, do you think it's important to fund alternative therapies to reduce chronic pain? Would you support a cost-benefit study of Medicaid coverage for alternative therapies? Support Medicaid waivers for alternative health care. Stop the pain.
Unfortunately, in America, there are still restrictions on voting rights for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and it's outrageous.
There are 30-some states in the United States where if you have legal guardianship, you're not able to vote in state elections or national elections. And to me, that is the beginning of a process that's going to really take away the person with disabilities' right to have a voice in their government. And so we have to really guard against that.
Everyone has the right to vote, except for people who are considered mentally incompetent. So who are those people?
Well, there are people like us.
People with autism?
Or Down syndrome.
In fact, if you have a guardian, someone who helps you make financial or health decisions, you are not allowed to vote in 21 states, and can only vote if you petition the courts in 17 states, leaving only 10 states where your most fundamental right as a citizen is allowed.
How are you all today? My name is Tegan.
People who don't want us to vote say we don't understand how to vote and are easily manipulated.
Do we look like we don't understand what's going on?
So ask your candidates, do you think that the right to vote should be denied to a citizen just because someone helps them make financial or healthcare decisions? Would you support a federal law that allows the right to vote to people with IDD in all states? What will you do to eliminate barriers to voting? Disability rights are human rights. Our vote counts.
So, let's make a plan. The first thing you have to do is to register to vote. Fortunately, the internet has made that pretty easy. It takes less than 2 minutes to register to vote. There are some great websites to make registering to vote easy and fast, like vote.org or rockthevote.org. Another great resource is vote411.org. These sites provide access to information about voter registration, absentee ballots, and other voting issues. All you need to do is choose the state you live in, and it will tell you everything you need to know about what's going to be on your ballot, the location of your polling place, and the date of your next election. So it is important to educate ourselves about the entire ballot, not just who is running for president.
The majority of people vote for people who are at the top of the ballot. Certainly the President of the United States, possibly their United States Senator and Representative, and then there's a huge drop. And much of that is because people just don't know. These people that you're voting in, your state representative, your state senator, your county commissioner, people, you have children, and you should certainly be voting for who's on the school board. And so I think it's critically important as an engaged, informed citizen that you take the time to understand the entire ballot. Vote for who is running for the county assessor, again the school board, because these are people that will have a huge impact on you and your family.
Explore some of these web resources and use them to create a plan for how you and your friends want to vote.
You can vote at home, at your kitchen table. You can take a couple of days to figure out who you want to vote for, what you want to vote for. You can also, you're also able to go to the ballot booth. Bring someone with you as well and vote there and get a sticker that says I voted.
I vote by mail. It is easy. I can do it and not be rushed. Sometimes I don't know who to vote for. Since I'm voting at home, I research the candidates on the internet. Sometimes I talk about who to vote for with my mom. It feels good to vote.
I like being a part of the democratic process. I like being in the community. I want to go out, go to the polls, and vote. But it was difficult. I didn't know the accommodations. I can't move my hands. Could my mom assist me going into the polling booth? It was weird because I know it was one person at a time in the booth. So as I became a part of the process, asking questions to the polling person, it wasn't scary at all. It was inspiring. You were there, you were a part of the process, and I got a sticker.
No matter how you end up voting, it's important to know your rights. You have the right to an accessible polling place. You can ask for help at the polls. You can bring a family member or a friend to help. You have the right to an accessible voting machine. You can ask for absentee ballots, or you can vote early at the county clerk's office. You can vote by traveling boards and have poll workers come to you. Since traditional approaches to being involved in a democratic process are not possible this year, new opportunities to make your voice heard have opened up. As town halls go virtual, people who cannot speak can now enter their concerns into chat boxes. Many states are offering vote by mail for the first time, so people that can't get to the polls or are afraid to go can vote at home. Social media makes it easier to raise awareness about the issues that are important to you. So, how can we take advantage of these emerging opportunities to be heard?
Grassroots social media is an incredible toolkit. It has a lot of power in terms of introducing folks to issues. Successful examples of social media really tell a story from a very deeply personal space. You want to share your story, and you want to share your story in a way that people are going to be able to resonate with, and that is empowering.
Simple conversations where we share our challenges, our hopes, our dreams, help other people understand how important it is to vote for a candidate that cares about our needs.
The Friends Leveraging Friends approach to building voter turnout is powerful, especially in communities that are underserved by traditional political campaigns, like voters concerned about disability issues. Research has shown that the Friends Leveraging Friends approach increases voter turnout more than any other single outreach method, including mail, TV, digital advertisements, and twice as much as contact from a stranger. Research has shown that people are much more likely to vote if they have a plan to vote, by simply asking someone 3 questions. 1, when are you planning to vote? 2, how are you getting to the polling stations? 3, do you need any help? You can help increase voter turnout.
Just because you look different, or you act differently, or somebody thinks you're dumb, or you're in a wheelchair, you're disabled, you have this stigma, this stereotype over you. That's what I love talking about politics with people, because they really don't understand what it's like to be in a wheelchair. And we all want to contribute. We all want to be a part of society. We're all the same. We all want to walk together. Some people do it differently.
Oftentimes elections are actually won by 1 vote. So if you think your vote doesn't count, it really counts, and you want to make sure that that's your voice in either the legislature, the school board, the local city council, the county commissioners, the presidency, because that's your power.